Please welcome to the stage Leslie Green, Grace Goheen, and Alexis Jones.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coalesce 2024.
Woo! It is so awesome to be standing in front of you all at our biggest event of the year.
We'll be your trio of MCs for the week, and we each actually work in different departments at DBT Labs, so it is a real treat to be together sharing the stage. I'm Alexis Jones, and I'm a product marketing director at DBT Labs.
I'm Leslie Green. I'm an RVP of Solutions Architecture here, and I get to lead some of our brilliant field teams.
And I'm Grace Goheen. I'm the product manager at DBT Labs, focused on our open source product, DBT Core. Woo! As we were planning to MC this week, we realized that this is actually going to be our third in-person Coalesce to attend together. Each one has been such a treat, but I've got a real feeling that this is going to be the best one yet. You know, I saw that someone expensed an Elvis costume. I really wonder how that's going to get incorporated. Maybe people should come to my product breakout session? Alexis, what are you most excited about this year?
Well, you know, the bar is already very, very high, but for me, I'd have to say it's the opportunity to launch new products. You know, our teams at DBT spend so much time, energy, and heart building capabilities that our customers are going to love. And then there's this moment where we get to unveil them to the world, and that moment is literally in a few moments, so I really can't wait. How about you, Leslie?
You know, I promise I will not wear any costumes this week, but my favorite part of Coalesce is always the vibes. Last night, I already got to talk to some of our users about all of the amazing things that they do with DBT, and I'm looking forward to a lot more caffeine-fueled conversations in the week to come.
Leslie, you and I were both members of the DBT community before we joined DBT Labs, and I have to say it has been so inspiring to be building DBT directly this year.
You know, it's so true, Grace. I got to see the impact that DBT had on my team when I was a user, but it's so much fun getting to bring that magic to so many other people.
All right, I hope you all can sense how excited we are to be here, but that's enough about us. This conference is really all about you. For our in-person crowd, welcome to Las Vegas.
Woo! Woo!
Yes. In this room, there are over 2,000 people, with another 8,000 joining online. You all have joined us from as far away as Australia, Nigeria, Lithuania, the Ukraine, South Africa, and Japan. And can I get a show of hands? First-timers at Coalesce? Woo! Woo! Okay. Anybody coming back for the second time? Yes? Okay. And who's gone 3 for 3? Let's see it. Fantastic. Thank you all so much for being here. Not only are you coming from diverse parts of the world, but also from diverse parts of your organization. We have analytics engineers here, of course, but also many VPs of data and analytics, chief data officers, and CEOs. You're joined by folks in finance roles, in marketing roles, and in product roles, proving that the silos between business users and data teams are coming together.
We also have a ton of folks who are joining virtually, so to our online attendees, thank you. Wherever you are calling in from, we are so happy to have you here. And make sure to join the community Slack channel Coalesce 2024 to get in on the conversations. Now, of course, a key part of making this week happen is our sponsors. So a huge shout out goes to all of our sponsors who, without their added support, this week does not happen. Specifically, I'd like to thank Tableau, Snowflake, and AWS, all of who are our platinum sponsors this week. Let's give them a round of applause. Woo! All right, we've got a jam-packed 3-day agenda for you. This room that we're in right now, this is our main stage. This is where we are going to hear new product announcements from our DBT Labs leadership, our product team. We're going to hear from our special guest speaker, Ali Miller, some of our customers, and more. Here we're going to hear new product announcements. We're also going to hear about how some of our biggest customers are realizing serious business impact from DBT. And we're going to get a chance to honor some very special individuals who help make this community what it is today. Goes without saying, I think it is going to be a very spectacular week.
Now, for the real reason that y'all got up early this morning, the opening keynote and product spotlight. In just a minute, I'm going to turn it over to Tristan Handy, founder and CEO of DBT Labs. Tristan started Fishtown Analytics in 2016, along with Drew Bannon and Connor MacArthur, with one clear mission: to improve the way that data analysts do their jobs. And over the past 8 years, as Fishtown Analytics became DBT Labs, as a small community of data analysts became something much larger, and as DBT has become the standard for data transformation, that mission has remained the same. It is now my honor to bring to the stage founder and CEO of DBT Labs, Tristan Handy.
Woo.
Oh, hi everyone. Welcome. It is so wonderful to be here with you. Honestly, this is the highlight of my year, every single year, to stand up here, to be present with each and every one of you. I think that we've already talked about this today. The DBT community is about people. It's always been about people. And we collectively have been a huge vector for changing the shape of our entire industry. At DBT Labs, we have a profound empathy and respect for the humans doing data work. Every DBT user can hopefully sense this underlying ethos. It's what makes the product delightful to use. And at Coalesce, every year, we get to be together in person. We get to celebrate the work that we've done over the past year and get pumped for the work that we have coming up to us. Now, Coalesce is, of course, a SQL function. But we chose it as a name for this conference because it speaks so deeply to the human aspects of DBT. Coalesce literally means many things coming together to form a single whole. From many, one. One community, one movement, all aligned around the idea that analytics can be done far, far better than it is today. That data systems are software systems, and that as a result, data people should steal the best ideas from software engineers. The size of DBT's impact is almost unbelievable to me. There are now over 50,000 teams using DBT in production. DBT is invoked 13.5 million times every day. And since we were all here together last year, DBT has built 4.9 billion models. Unbelievable. Now, as you enjoy the next few days, I would just ask you to keep one thing in mind. Look to your left, look to your right. These people are not strangers. They're co-conspirators. Co-conspirators who all share a common motivation: to overturn data dysfunction, to create high-functioning, high ROI data organizations built on high-functioning data technology and workflows. They're optimists, and like you, they've seen the transformative effects that DBT and its vibrant community can have. But we also come from an incredibly diverse set of backgrounds. DBT users are analytics engineers and data engineers, but we're also analysts and CDOs. A couple of us have PhDs in math. A bunch of us have finance degrees. And there's a lot of data bootcamp certificates out there. We use different tools, we have different preferences, and sometimes we even have different goals. And this diversity is critical. Everyone at every organization needs data. And so great data tooling needs to incorporate many different types of humans. But creating a space for that diversity takes real work. And I think, honestly, we could be doing better here. In the data industry, we are obsessed with these zero-sum debates. Snowflake versus Databricks, data engineer versus analytics engineer, data team versus the business, DBT core versus DBT cloud. It is incredibly easy to frame things this way, as fights, as battles. But none of these should be or conversations. They should be and conversations. We need to focus on how to bring people together, not pit them against each other. Snowflake and Databricks, data engineers and analytics engineers, DBT core and DBT cloud. I have always wanted DBT to be a unifier, not a divider. DBT works across clouds, across data platforms, across teams, across personas. For example, a product team in Seattle can deploy and run DBT on AWS, while the engineering team in London runs DBT on Azure. One DBT operating in the cloud environment that makes sense for the business. A data science team running Databricks can directly reference a DBT project that the finance team manages in Snowflake. One DBT running in different data platforms without having to move or duplicate data. A central data team modeling data with DBT core that can be built on by a marketing ops team using the new visual editing experience in DBT Cloud. One DBT that incorporates knowledge from humans throughout the business. It's all just one DBT, one experience. Pretty cool. Now, as energized as I am to be up here with you, I'm honestly a little bummed out. We have so much new stuff to share that my history lesson for this year was booted from the agenda. I don't have any time to talk about salamanders or jellyfish or the slow process of industrial electrification or even the appropriate number of pizzas for a single engineering team to consume. You think you start your own company, you should at least be able to make people listen to an inane history lesson once a year, right? I mean, come on. Well, the good news is I do want to share a little bit about my summer writing project. I really do mean this. Ideas matter. This whole thing, DBT itself, the DBT community, and DBT Labs was all started by a single article I wrote in 2016. And that article said two things, which back then were almost heretical. First, it said that all data systems were fundamentally software systems. And second, it said that because of this, data practitioners should adopt many of the best practices of software engineers. This became known as the DBT viewpoint. And 8 years on, it's in the process of transforming an entire industry. Pretty cool. But as proud as I am of that and the avalanche that it started, there are still massive, glaring problems in analytics today. Now, earlier this year, we shared the results of our annual analytics engineering survey. And the good news is, you're telling us that, at least for this community, data transformation is mostly a solved problem. But that just ends up pushing the problem downstream. Quality, ownership, stakeholder literacy. These are now the biggest challenges we face. Let me give you a quick self-test to prove the point. Do your stakeholders always know where to go find the right dashboard, the right metric? Do their numbers always agree? Do upstream changes in data sources ever break your pipelines? Do you have defined SLAs with a business, and are you hitting them? How about this? Who's on call right now while you're here in Vegas? Have they been paged this morning? Now, I can see a little rustling around in your chairs, and honestly, I'm right there with you. But without clear, confident answers to questions like these, we cannot help our businesses grow revenue. We can't manage costs. We can't be the strategic partners that we know that we're capable of being. My point is just this. We are not done. Now, we've made a lot of progress, and we should be justifiably proud of that. But holy crap, do we still have a long way to go. And this summer, I spent a couple weeks mapping out my perspective on how we get there. The answer, as before, is a workflow. I call it the Analytics Development Lifecycle, the ADLC. The ADLC is a single end-to-end workflow that encompasses the entire analytical loop. Notice that this diagram doesn't say data transformation, and it doesn't say DBT. The ADLC is bigger than DBT, bigger than any individual product. It's a roadmap for how we bring the best ideas of software engineering into the entire analytics workflow. Now, if data systems are just software systems, then the underlying construct behind all data systems is code, right? And as it just so happens, that's a really good thing for all of us sitting here today. Because it turns out that AI is really good at writing code. And that's about to make all of our lives a lot easier. Here are just a few of the ways that we already are or will be accelerating the ADLC using AI. We'll help you write DBT code from models to tests to metrics to documentation. We'll help you perform root cause analysis by analyzing logs. We'll help you save money by analyzing query profiles and suggesting improvements. And we'll give you natural language interfaces to ask and answer business questions. And there'll almost definitely be a whole heck of a lot more that we can't even foresee yet. We're calling this DBT Copilot. DBT Copilot helps users get more done using the power of generative AI. It makes everyone interacting with data more productive. You'll hear a lot more about DBT Copilot later this morning and in breakouts throughout the week. In my opinion, Gen AI is an absolute requirement for building mature analytical systems. There is just too much work to do, and too few of us to do it all. So far, we've talked about the ADLC, we've talked about how we're accelerating the ADLC with AI. And I want to introduce my next thought by asking kind of a funny question, but bear with me for a sec. What exactly would you call DBT? What box would you put it in? DBT certainly does data transformation, and most of us think about it as a data transformation tool. That's fair. But did you know that DBT also ships with what is probably the most widely used data catalog on the planet? Literally hundreds of thousands of users use DBT Docs and DBT Explorer every single day. So is DBT a data catalog? DBT probably runs more data quality checks, data and unit tests, and executes more data CI jobs than any other product in the world. Is DBT a data observability tool? DBT likely executes more jobs than any other orchestrator, except for Airflow, of course. Would you call DBT an orchestrator? I could go on. The truth is, though, that DBT has never fit cleanly into a single box. DBT was built to facilitate an end-to-end workflow. So let me return to my initial question. What do you call DBT? We believe that in unifying these capabilities, DBT helps users navigate the entire ADLC as quickly and frictionlessly as possible. And this is what we call the data control plane. Here's what that means to us. A data control plane orchestrates and observes your entire data ecosystem, making sure that data delivered to the business is trustworthy. A data control plane centralizes metadata across your entire business, acting as the system of record for your entire data estate. It provides signals to help you understand if data is fresh, if your data platform is cost optimized, and if everyone has a common understanding of business metrics. Metadata is at the heart of the data control plane. A data control plane spans all of your data platforms because most organizations no longer own and operate a single platform. A data control plane must be collaborative, providing interfaces for every data stakeholder to play their role in the ADLC. And finally, a data control plane should bring all of this together and accelerate it with AI. That's what we're building towards. One platform to manage your data investments. Trusted, powered by metadata, multi-cloud, multi-persona, and infused with AI. That's the data control plane. Okay, that's a lot. You are going to be hearing a lot more about the data control plane from us this week and about how we're pushing the industry forwards. But for now, I am very, very excited to introduce somebody that I am honored to call a friend. Yannick Misteli is the head of engineering and global product strategy at Roche, and he's been a DBT user for over 5 years. Yannick also gave me my first and only tour of Basel from the top of Roche Tower. And if you ever have the opportunity to go, Basel is incredible. As a leader on the commercial team for a multinational healthcare company, Yannick supports the group that provides therapies to clinics and hospitals around the world. Please join me in welcoming Yannick to the stage. All right, Yannick, let's start us off. Can you talk a little bit about Roche's data journey and how DBT has played a role?
Absolutely. DBT was a crucial aspect twice in our journey. First, when we started off 5 years ago, we started to build a data and analytics platform, and we were really looking to establish best practices such as infrastructure as a code, documentation as a code, literally everything as a code. And we were looking also for a tool that helps us on the transformation side to do the same thing. And when we found DBT, it ticked all the boxes. And for us, it was, wow, this is really the missing puzzle piece for us that we found that really was aligned with our vision and our philosophy. So DBT was helping us a lot to scale the platform and also the global data products in the first phase. And then 2 years ago, we needed to expand our scope to the Roche countries, to the affiliates. The personas there are slightly different, so I would say a little bit less technical, but very much involved into the business, so more analysts. And yet again, we were very lucky because we could leverage DBT Cloud. So DBT Cloud could give the affiliates quick and easy access, also providing them with everything they needed. And I really like what you said about DBT being a unifier, because I think for us this was also an important aspect. Although we're on core and cloud, but really DBT is the tool that we use with the same processes. And it helped a lot to bring together the global team and the affiliate team just to be one team that is using DBT.
You mentioned scale, and my guess is that there's a lot of folks in this audience that will recognize just how hard scaling can be in data. How have you How have you scaled data best practices using DBT across your many organizations?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to create awareness around topics like ELT, DevOps, DataOps, especially in big organizations, because you really need to change how people think and operate, which is hard. I think you need to become very good in convincing and change management, which is not technical. And that's also why the white paper on the analytics development lifecycle resonated a lot with me, because it shifts the focus to people and process, which is crucial for us. So we doubled down on data ops a lot, and we could see two big benefits from data ops. One is really to decrease the time to market, so we could deliver solutions much faster. And this is very, very tangible for the business. They see output, they see things happening. It's important. The second aspect is really increase the reliance on the data systems. So we have a lot of DBT tests, and we can proactively inform the stakeholders if there's data issues before they even go to the dashboards. So those two aspects are very important for one thing, which is trust. We really need to build trust for the business stakeholders, because we want them to take data-driven decisions, but they cannot take data-driven decisions if they don't trust the solution. So for us, really the data ops and also DBT that plays a crucial part in that is really important. Not only for Roche, I would say, like for the entire pharma industry, it's important, because frankly, I think the pharma industry is lagging a little bit behind there. We were lagging in digital transformation, in cloud adoption, and I really feel that we need to double down there, because there's a new generation of doctors and patients out there, and they're used to personalized content. They go to platforms like Netflix and Spotify, and they get that experience. So for us, it's really important to step up to also meet the expectations.
So if I'm hearing what you're saying right, the business value that you're creating for Roche is that you're creating a Netflix-like, Spotify-like experience for people. Tell me how you're, it's so hard to quantify business value. How do you like to put numbers around that?
It is a hard discussion around that. I think many people get caught up with the technical delivery. It's like, oh, we have delivered this dashboards and this machine learning pipelines and that GenAI solution. But you can build the best dashboard in the world if nobody's going there, or people are going there and nobody takes action. Like, what is it worth, right? So I think it's as you said, it's extremely hard to quantify the business impact. That's why I'm super proud that my team recently received an award from the head of pharma commercial business. We received an award in building bridges. And this is a business award, and I think it shows two things. One is that it's really business recognizing the value that we create. And I think this is, for me, is very important, because it shows that we are doing the right thing, and we're getting really the recognition, and we're doubling down there. And for me, this is the great aspect. The second aspect is it is an award for building bridges, which I think is very interesting. It shows that the data professionals can sometimes connect the dots that business itself cannot. And I think also there, building the bridges, bringing business and data closer together, only then you can really unlock the value. So that's why for me, this award is good to see that we're on track. Really, the culture is changing. We're going into the right direction. And I'm very proud of the team. I think I would not be here if they would not have been done a great job. So thanks to the team. Some of them are here, some of them are online, so keep it up.
Nice, I love that. I talked a little bit about AI earlier. Tell me about Roche's AI story, and is DBT playing a role in that?
Absolutely. I believe that a good AI strategy can only result from a good data strategy. So that's why for us, these foundations that we have built in the last 5 years were fundamental. And this year, we also could deliver first GenAI use cases, because we already have a very solid foundation. We were focusing mostly on free text use cases because I really believe that this is where LLMs are very powerful. So we collect a lot of free text field in our CRM around the world. There's thousands of free text things coming in on a daily basis, and we're using LLMs there to dynamically summarize that based on some criteria like geographies or therapeutic areas or timeframes. So you get a nice summary of what is going on, and I think this is a big business value. Instead of going through thousands of free text field, that you get nice summaries.
Love it. Okay, so I hope I'm not about to tell you anything you don't already know. But you have developed a little bit of a reputation at DBT Labs. For better or for worse, you have become one of our most outspoken customers. You're always pushing us, which I really love. What are some of the things that you are hoping to see up on stage here shortly?
Yes, I'm very passionate about the data industry and where it's going, so I keep pushing. But for us, I think there's two things that are really important, and the first thing is observability, because the more you scale, the more important this topic will get. So for sure, this is something I will keep pushing for, as it's very important for us. The second one is interoperability, because I was telling the journey of how the line of business that I'm in, we could leverage DBT, but I would love to see more cross-domain use cases. And Roche is a huge company. We have many lines of businesses. All of them have different data platforms, of course. So it would be great to see more interoperability between platforms so that we can really unlock these cross-domain use cases that we have.
You have to stay tuned. Let's see.
I hope so.
Yannick, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Everyone, Yannick.
Thank you.
Yannick and his team at Roche are tackling huge problems with DBT. Scaling best practices in a large and complex environment, deploying Gen AI to production, earning trust from the business by delivering results, not just dashboards. Collaboration, trust, AI, all critical to Roche's business. And these are big investment areas for us as well. In fact, you ready to see a few demos? Me too. All right, without further ado, I'd like to welcome back Leslie Green to the stage.
Thank you, Tristan. Now I'm going to bring up a few folks from our product team to tell you about how the investments that we've made so far this year, and some investments still to come, are building the platform that'll help you bring trusted data to your companies. To set the stage, I first want to revisit a favorite haunt of DBT users, the Jaffle shop. Let's clap for Jaffles. If you don't know what the Jaffle shop is, welcome to your first Coalesce. We are thrilled to have you here. The Jaffle shop has long been our stand-in for the very real companies that use DBT every day. It is a sandwich company. They rely on data and their data team in order to make informed decisions about their products, their customers, and the big bets that they need to make as a company. And they've grown over the years. They're now called Jaffle Enterprises. And DBT has grown with them, supporting their complex data needs at scale. And recently, the Jaffle data team was investigating a decline that they saw in their margins. They were shocked to see how many Jaffles they were selling at entertainment venues. The problem was that the venues set the prices and they take a big cut. So the data team has decided the solution is that they need to own the venue. Classic vertical integration. Motivated by this insight, Jaffle Enterprises is here in Las Vegas with a big announcement. They've acquired an innovative center of the arts, which they will soon rebrand Cirque du Jaffle. We might stick with Jaffle. But integrating a new line of business is difficult. The Jaffle teams are going to face three main challenges as they enter into this new expansion. First, they need to ensure a smooth integration of the new business's data and data team into their existing tech stack and processes. They are looking for flexibility across platforms. Second, they need to empower members of the team to ask questions and get answers. The marketing team has been tasked with a successful launch, and they are experts at running campaigns, but they're not all experts at writing SQL. So they need a collaborative way to get the insights that their team needs. And third, the data team needs to know which assets matter most to their stakeholders so that they can keep them high quality and trustworthy, especially now that even more people are using them than ever before. From the chief data officer to the marketing teams to the data team, they all need a way to work together that is flexible, collaborative, and trustworthy. And their goal here isn't just about integrating two companies or two tech stacks. It's about leveraging data to understand its customers, improve their margins, and sell more Jaffles. Without any further ado, I'm going to welcome Amy Chen to the stage, who will show you an actual demo and continue the story with Chapter 1, Bridging the Divide.
Hey. Oh my God, are we bumping? Yeah. We're so cool here. How's everyone doing? Well, as Leslie said, I'm Amy Chen. I'm a product manager at DBT Labs. Since I've joined DBT 6 years ago, I've always been excited to help folks like me where Microsoft Access was your first database. I know. So while I've actually never had a Jaffle before, I truly know the impact that DBT has made on lives. And related to that, we also know that there are organizations out there today that are struggling with data siloed across multiple data platforms. And we know how much of an impact DBT can make on organizations with our flexibility and our cross-platform capabilities so that the lives at these organizations can be so much better. Now, where we left off, both Jaffle Enterprises and Cert to Jaffle have already decided to standardize on DBT for data transformations. As you can see, Jaffle Enterprises have been longtime DBT Cloud customers, and they've been using it with Redshift. Cert to Jaffle, they've been using DBT with Athena. Now, Jaffle Enterprises have decided to consolidate on one interface, DBT Cloud, which is why I'm really excited to tell them DBT Cloud now supports Athena. This year, with the help of our partners and our community maintainers, we've been able to bring 4 new adapters into DBT Cloud: Athena, Teradata, Fabric, and Synapse, which essentially means they're joining so many more adapters, including Snowflake and Databricks, so that users like you never have to ask, can I use DBT with that? So the Jaffle Enterprise team have essentially now integrated all of their DBT projects into one single DBT Cloud interface. But how will they be able to share data across multiple lines of business? Also, the launch date is fast approaching. There's no time for a data migration. And frankly, both teams have been quite satisfied with the data platforms that they're already using. But if we keep the status quo, then the teams will remain siloed and risk very costly data replication, differing definitions, and it just won't be a great interface to work with. So how can the teams share data on multiple data platforms without ever sacrificing on performance or paying through the roof? What if I told you they can't? It would make for a very short conference, wouldn't be great. So luckily for you and for Jaffle Enterprises, we have been working on some really cool stuff that helps just this use case. Now, if you've been following recent data news, you know that there's been exciting announcements around an open standard called Apache Iceberg. Iceberg is an open table format, and it is an open standard for how we are storing data and accessing the metadata. And just like DBT, it is agnostic to both the cloud platform and also compute engines. Now, we believe this is a significant development for any organizations with data because it means more flexibility about how and where you can access your data. Now, remember the crux of our problem. Jaffel Enterprises is on Redshift. Strict to Jaffel, they're on Athena. And consolidating on one data platform, well, that means a lot of time-consuming tasks for the team. They would have to translate the SQL, audit all of those new tables after they just replicated it. And whatever platform they choose, it's not going to be perfect for every workload that they have. Now, it used to be that in order to access data across multiple platforms, you would have to think about either data movement or replication. Note that I said it used to be. By storing your data now in Iceberg table format, Strict to Jaffel can now make their data accessible from anywhere without the need for replication or movement. So this is why I'm really excited to tell you that dbt now formally supports Apache Iceberg. All you have to do is update one line of code in your model configurations, and that will mean you can store them in Iceberg. This will enable access for multiple data platforms and helping you future-proof your data. Pretty cool, right? Now, it's possible for the teams to access each other's data. It works. But what is the right way to do this? Now, if you were here last year, then you know we announced something called dbt mesh. dbt mesh is a pattern for how you can collaborate across multiple dbt projects aligned to business domains. Now, this pattern enables teams to be able to take specific dbt models as well-governed, well-defined interfaces. And you can apply contracts and versioning so you can enforce and evolve that interface over time. These have been mature concepts in software development, and they're very appropriate for a mature analytics development lifecycle. So the question at hand is the downstream Jaffel team needs to reference data from a different project, from a different team, and on another platform within dbt. What if it was as easy as dbt mesh? Now, this is something that I've been waiting for since we made the announcement last year, and I'm sure many of you have as well, which is why I am so excited that I get to stand here and tell you dbt mesh is now going to support cross-platform references. As part of this initial launch, we're going to support Redshift and Athena using the Glue data catalog and Iceberg table format. So I'm curious, do you guys want to see how easy it is to use this? I'm sorry, that was so low energy. I'll just walk off stage. OK, can I hear one more time, just to cheer? Awesome. So ahead of launch, the central Jaffel team is going to need access to a table that has a record of every Jaffel ever sold. How they're going to do that is they're going to union an orders model that lives inside of Redshift with a orders model called concession sales in Athena. To do this in Redshift, we're going to jump into Athena project. So let's take a look. Right now, as you can see, we are in the Athena project. We're in a model called concession orders. And what we've already done is at the very top, we've added a new configuration line, table type equals Iceberg. So when the user executes this particular model, what dbt is going to do is create and materialize this model in Athena in Iceberg table format. And with the power of movie magic, we're going to skip ahead, and we're going to merge this into production, and it's going to be available now in our Redshift project. Now, we're going to go into the Redshift project. We've already set up dbt mesh, which means we've already declared the dependency for Strict to Jaffel's project. And now we're in the orders model. We have a new CT. It uses a two-part ref that selects from the Strict to Jaffel project, concession sales as the model. And when we execute this, we're actually unioning together a table that was in Redshift with Athena. And when we productionize this, we can now share this in dbt Explorer and enable every team to know, hey, we have this dependency. So as you can see, this DAG, there is that lovely node from Start to Jaffel with concession sales, and a orders model in Redshift, and there's even downstream dependencies on other projects. Pretty cool, right? So by combining the power of open table format and dbt mesh, dbt Cloud now delivers cross-platform lineage with collaboration, flexibility, and governance without the cost of replication. Now you can even imagine, maybe there's another Jaffel team out there. They love using Snowflake. They can jump in on this dbt mesh paradigm because of how we've integrated with the Glue data catalog and Iceberg. Essentially what this means for Jaffel enterprises and you is no matter what platform you choose, you can always have an interface with end-to-end visibility. It's all one dbt. Ooh. Now, it's not just Jaffel enterprises that have these issues. Many organizations today have this need today, and they've been joining us already on this journey, including Moderna, Vestas, and Siemens, which is why I'm so excited to give a very warm welcome to my new bestie, Tobias Humpert from Siemens. Everyone, please cheer Toby on.
Hi, Amy. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Toby.
Hi.
It's nice to see you again.
Nice to be here.
So, Toby, you are the product manager for Siemens Data Cloud.
Yes.
And I suspect you have a lot of very interesting thoughts about cross-platform that you would love to share with us. But I actually have a more pressing question to ask you. How are the sheep at Siemens doing?
Sheeps are doing great. It's still summer a little bit, so they're really doing good. Maybe for the audience who's now wondering what sheeps are we talking about. So actually I'm coming from Munich, Germany, and we have on our campus in Siemens actually a sheep walking around for mowing the lawn. Yeah? So it's
very green. But also, as we've noticed, it's getting a little colder.
Yes.
What happens to sheep in winter?
Actually, I don't know. Yeah? They just disappear at a certain point in time, and next spring there are new sheep. So not sure. Yeah? Not sure.
It's almost like if they had, cross-platform lineage, they would know the lineage of the sheep if they were the same sheep.
Yeah, you're right. If we had cross-platform also for the sheep, we would know where they are or if they had been transformed to a different platform. Yeah.
Who knows? Okay, maybe we shouldn't speculate about sheep death. Maybe we should just go straight into cross-platform. I am curious to ask, so what are your thoughts on cross-platform dbt mesh?
I think for us it's the logical next step after having dbt mesh introduced last year, and for us it's amazing. Yeah? I think it's so cool, and it for us also comes at a perfect point in time. We are currently looking, of course, a lot into using Iceberg tables. Yeah? We are looking a lot into streaming capabilities for us as a company. And yeah, of course, the whole hype about Gen AI is also in place here. So it is a good timing that we can really focus on using the best technologies for the best purposes and not be too dependent on one single technology we operate everything on. So I think therefore it's perfect. It's really great.
That's awesome. Now, you were part of the initial launch of dbt mesh last year. And I suspect you're going to start poking at cross-platform, and
Definitely.
A lot of people in this audience are as well. Do you have any recommendations for them on how to get started?
I mean, being very honest, just try things out. I mean, last year when dbt mesh was coming out, we just get started. We selected a concrete project, a use case. We get to see how it works. We, of course, ask our friends from dbt for help. Yeah, they're always happy to help in getting to see. And of course, there might be at the very beginning certain things where we have great ideas, also how to improve those things. So we once in a while also raise feature requests and bring in ideas to make things better. But yeah, just try things out, see what works, see what can be improved. I think especially dbt is very open in getting feedback, getting new ideas. So.
Oh yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So I'm excited to hear back from you next year on what your thoughts on implementing cross-platform looks like. And everyone, please help me say thank you to Toby for joining us.
Thanks. See you next year.
Now, I do have to very clearly state, no sheep were actually harmed in the making of this presentation. And these are the really cute sheep from Siemens. We don't know their names, but they're very cute. Now, we just heard from Toby about how important cross-platform visibility and collaboration are going to be for companies like Siemens. And I have one more goodie for you. Now, our customers have been building more and more foundational products with dbt. So it's important to also think about the related spend. Now, we know dbt is a significant driver of compute on your data warehouses. Customers are frequently asking us, how do I have more visibility, more control over my dbt spend? And you already know, our metadata platform in dbt Cloud has already a lot of vital information about your dbt project, including execution time. And over the next few months, we're going to lean in, and we are going to enable even more capabilities for you that will give you more abilities to track and optimize your dbt spend. So please do stay tuned. And I see some of you already have your cameras out. This is the slide to take a picture of. But if you also have your phones out, this is probably the one you also want to take one more snap of. This is just a third of the things we are going to be announcing today. So we've covered support for more platforms, more table formats, and multiple platforms together with end-to-end visibility. But we're not stopping just here. The fascinating thing about all this work we're doing is the product strategy that this opens up. This means we can support more table formats. We can throw in some Delta, more Hive, more Hootie even. But it also means that we can grab more metadata to optimize your dbt experience and open up the door to more places dbt can run. This means you never have to ask, can I use dbt with that? And for companies like Jaffel Enterprises and you, this means you can always pick the right platform for the job. That is the power of just one dbt. Now, our next challenge is how do we enable more people in the business to access this new data? So I'm excited to announce on stage my colleague Greg McKeon for Chapter 2, More Hands on Deck.
So good.
You're going to crush it.
Thank you. All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Greg. There's nothing I love more than helping more of you transform how your organizations work with data. Except maybe the New York Mets, but that's a conversation for after like 5 p.m. today. I'm going to show you how dbt Cloud now provides a single collaborative platform where members of the data team and members of the business can come together to contribute code to their dbt project. So where Amy just left us, Jaffel Enterprises had just connected their organization's data from 2 different data platforms. And with those data assets as a foundation, I'm going to show you a few new, exciting capabilities in dbt Cloud that make it easy for the business team to start building data products on their own, independently, and without needing to start from SQL. Let's go back to Jaffel Enterprises' marketing team. They're excited to collaborate with their data team. They want to plan a big campaign for this brand relaunch, and they've got a few questions. Because here's the thing. The marketers are great at running a great campaign, at driving revenue, at forging a strategic brand partnership, but they're not all experts at writing SQL. And so previously, they had one of 2 less than ideal options for how they would go ahead and get the data that they needed to make their campaign a success. On the one hand, they could go ahead and file a Jira ticket, throw that over the wall to their data team, and then they would hope that they had the time and the business context to get the right data back to them, and fast. But this is wrong for rapid iteration. And over time, misaligned expectations lead to eroded trust between the teams. And now, there's another option. They could strike out on their own. They could go upstream to 5 or 6 different sources, wrangle that data together, pull it down into a spreadsheet, and do a custom analysis. And sure, they're empowered for the moment, but this is not a mature analytics development lifecycle. And so Jaffel's data team needs to empower the marketers. They need to give them a path to production and a path to reusability, so they're not stuck working in silos and they're not reinventing each other's work. And the marketing team, well, they just want to access their data. And they want to start from the governed source of truth without starting from SQL. And I'm excited to say that now, with dbt Cloud, they both can. I'm excited to announce an all-new visual editing experience in dbt Cloud. This is a drag-and-drop interface for building This is a drag-and-drop interface for building and exploring dbt models. It makes the governed analytics development lifecycle accessible to more people than ever before. And it gives existing data teams superpowers by letting them see dbt like never before. So you might be wondering, what makes this different from other drag-and-drop data tools? Well, the answer is that it's dbt. It's the same workflow, backed by the same set of principles, empowering a whole new group of people to do data work. This tool reads and writes code in your dbt project. That code is version controlled. It can be documented. It can be tested. Teams can work with it without impacting models in production. To show you how, let's go back to the marketing team, who have decided that their big campaign will be a new face for their frozen eat-at-home Jaffle, based on the performer who sells the most Jaffles during their show. To find their star, they're not going to sit down and write SQL from scratch. And they're also not going to throw a request over the wall to their capacity-strained data team. They're going to use visual operators to explore the data that's available to them and build a set of transformations, a real dbt model with real SQL under the hood. Behind me is the canvas, and it's the starting place for a visual editing exploration in dbt Cloud. Since the marketers want to know who sells the most Jaffles per show, they start with the show model. And they can explore it with the model node, which can reference any existing dbt model in their project, and with dbt mesh, any public model they have access to. They can see the shows model contains a total Jaffle revenue column, just what we needed. And after another quick search, they find the show cast list model will let them correlate that Jaffle revenue back to the individual performers. They run a preview to see what the data actually looks like in their dbt Cloud staging environment, and then they notice that both of these models contain a show ID column. With the join node, the team can quickly combine these together. And I love how the visual editor's preview keeps them in a state of flow as they see the impact of this join. We now have several new columns that give them information about each individual performer, as well as the Jaffle generated at a given show. So now it's time to aggregate and get a total sum of Jaffle revenue per performer. But while they do that, we have our own grand reveal. All of these operators have translated to real SQL, automatically generated under the hood. Watch how the configuration they do on the right side of the screen translates in real time to new SQL being generated on the left. This means this is just like any other dbt model, able to be edited in the Cloud IDE, via the Cloud CLI, to be run on a user's development schema, or after a code review, to be merged back into production. Visual editing has all the power of SQL if you want it, combined with the familiarity and ease of use of visual operators. And I like to think of this as a DAG for an individual SQL model. With the aggregate node configured, the team can fire up one more preview to check their work. And as they do so, they realize that a total sum of Jaffle revenue isn't quite right. Some performers have just done more shows than others. And so what they really want is an average of revenue per performer per performance. And that's just as easy. The formula node lets them define a new column and define it as total Jaffle revenue divided across the total number of performances for each performer. With one more order by node, they can sort the results to find the top Jaffle driving performer, and with one last preview, they can get their answer. Drum roll, please. Our new face of Taking Big Jaffles is a performer named Lonnie, the human cannonball. Soon his face will be screaming across freezer aisles around the world. We're not done yet. Say this analysis needed to be done on a regular basis. How could the marketing team merge this code back into their dbt project? Many other tools create a massive sprawl of ungoverned yet critical analyses, but not dbt. With a few clicks, with version control built right in, it's easy for us to commit this model back and open a pull request for it to be merged into the main dbt project, subject to all of the usual testing and CI checks as with any other dbt model. This is how the all-new visual editing experience in dbt Cloud lets the Jaffle data team take themselves off of the critical path for ad hoc data requests and empowers their colleagues in marketing to translate business knowledge into real analytics code. We're excited about the doors this will open to many first-time contributors, but it's for you old-timers out there too. Jaffle Enterprise's data team is full of SQL savants, but they've found that a visual editing experience helps them refactor existing models and collaborate on those models with members of the business. Since the visual editor is generating SQL code under the hood, it can also parse and explain any existing DBT model, even if that model wasn't created with the visual editor. In this case, the data team's boss has wandered over, as bosses sometimes do. And he's wondering how this orders model is actually generated. Let's pretend we're them and help explain. With the visual editor, you can load the Jaffle orders model and break down the complex SQL into an easy-to-explain visual representation. If you want to see what the data looks like at a given part of this transformation, you can do so. First, we can look at the raw data for the upstream Jaffle shop orders items model and dive into how that data is actually being aggregated later in the transformation to see how we're calculating the total cost for all of the items in a given order. This is something that's never been possible before, taking a complex SQL transformation, breaking it apart, and understanding how it actually works at each step in the transformation. This style of visualization could also be powerful. If we zoom back out, you can notice something else. Look, this disconnected model node represents a dangling CTE left unused in the code, perhaps from a previous change. We can delete this, simplify our code, and maybe even reduce the time and money it takes to run this model every day. If you're as excited about visual editing as we are, come see us at the booth and find out how to get beta access. There's a lot more coming here, from support for core DBT features like tests and unit tests, all the way through to a deeper AI integration for generating entire models from scratch. And let's talk about AI for a second. Our team is obsessed with making authoring DBT models more accessible and more accelerated, no matter who you are. And historically, it's been a challenge for data teams to maintain high standards for documenting and testing their models in an ever-growing DBT project. As tech debt piles up, it's tough to prioritize when it takes time away from delivering the thing your stakeholders needed yesterday. You feel like you have to pick between quality and velocity. And so ahead of the Search of Jaffle launch, the data team is feeling this. They know that they need their foundational data sets to be high quality, tested, documented, easy for downstream teams to discover. And previously, this would have meant hours of writing code and writing documentation and writing tests inside of the DBT Cloud IDE, but no longer. I'm excited to show you all DBT Copilot. It's a collection of native AI experiences in DBT Cloud that help users be more productive across the entire analytics development lifecycle. It includes the ability today to generate tests, documentation, and semantic models. And it leverages the work that you've already done by writing business logic and code to let you focus on getting that logic correct. First, we'll take a look at the upstream staging model for the show cast list model we looked at earlier. We can see that this isn't documented or tested yet, making it hard for downstream teams to understand what this model actually does. But with a click on DBT Copilot, we can fix that. The LLM uses context from our model to add the documentation automatically. And this powers one of my favorite features in DBT Cloud, inherited column descriptions. Thanks to column level lineage and Explorer, if this column is reused and not transformed, the description will fall all the way down onto downstream models. Automation all the way. So now we've opened the downstream mart. We noticed there weren't any tests defined there. And again, DBT Copilot comes to our rescue, quickly generating tests, making the model ready for anyone to use. We're rolling out these features now, and we'd love to have you give feedback. We're also excited about our future investments in DBT Copilot, and today we're announcing that Copilot supports bringing your own OpenAI API key, expanding access to more organizations. Our goal with all of our AI features in DBT Cloud is to enable data teams to spend their time on high-impact problems and guarantee members of the business well-tested, well-documented, high-quality data products across the board. And so just like many of you, we've seen how Jaffle Enterprises has more than one kind of data developer. And if they want their teams to succeed, they need one workflow that can meet everyone where they are. So that's why DBT Cloud now offers 3 distinct development experiences. A user-friendly, web-based IDE to get started easily and ramp up quickly with AI acceleration built right in. A familiar command line interface for experienced data and analytics engineers. And, as you just saw, an all-new visual editing experience that makes it easy for anyone to quickly translate business context into real analytics code. However you use DBT, across core and cloud, across the command line, across the browser, the new visual editing experience, you're enabling your teams to collaborate in one workflow. Many points of entry, one DBT. So for Jaffle enterprises, now that more people are building DBT models using data from Cirque du Jaffle, the data team needs to back up those trusted data sets with a high-quality guarantee. I'd like to invite on stage my colleague, Roxi Dahlke, to go ahead and present our third and final chapter, Trust in the Process. Roxi?
Hi, everyone. My name is Roxi, and it turns out that I'm really passionate about Jaffles, but also about contributing to solutions that help organizations really thrive with their data. And today, I'm here to talk to you about how DBT ensures trustworthy data throughout the analytics development lifecycle, in development, deployment, and consumption. So, Greg just told us about how the Jaffle marketing team is incredibly excited to start using the new visual editing experience to build DBT models. And they're doing so on top of the already trusted foundation built by the central data team. The data team wants to make sure they're shipping high-quality data products with velocity, but they also want to make sure that they're tracking usage of those assets and providing context to stakeholders, really reinforcing trust in their output. How can they do these things? Well, I'm excited to talk about 3 new and improved DBT features that allow them to do just that. First, advanced continuous integration, or advanced CI, which ensures code changes do what they're supposed to do before they go live. Second, trust and usage signals, which provides a view into how assets are being consumed and whether those assets are trustworthy. And third, consistent metrics with the DBT semantic layer across all your analytics tools. Let's talk a little bit about continuous integration. Anytime someone is making changes to the central data team's projects, all their tests have to go through a series of checks before they go live. And they're already following best practices here. They have a slim CI job set up to ensure that all unit tests are passing and that there are no failures in the build. But there is a hidden risk here. Just because something runs successfully, it doesn't mean it's right or doing what it's intended to do. What's missing here is a summary view into the exact data changes that their code changes will produce. Well, look no further, because today we're excited to announce Advanced CI in DBT Cloud. Let's take a look together. Here, someone is making changes to the sales concession models, which tells them more information about their circus goers. They make a change, create a pull request on GitHub, make sure to write a detailed comment explaining the change so their teams can understand what happened. And from here directly, they can navigate to the CI job and the progress running in DBT Cloud. You'll now notice there is this handy new Compare Changes tab, which gives them all the context on what their changes will actually do, including rows modified, columns modified, and any resources that are added or removed. Thanks to Advanced CI, the data team can feel very comfortable pushing this change to production because they can see the impact of it before it goes live. And this also protects from any unintended errors downstream for their consumers, thereby increasing trust between the producers and consuming teams. And finally, they can feel really comfortable bringing more users into the process because they can actually see the impact before it hits production. Oh. Jump the gun on this announcement. Well, so let me back up for 1 second, and then I'm going to need another applause when I re-announce it, OK? How about that? OK, so once the assets that we just looked at were in production, the data team makes sure to track that they're reliable by looking at how they're used, as well as identifying any quality and freshness issues early. But previously, it used to be really manual and rather tedious to actually get this metadata and surface it. But not anymore, because of automatic exposures supported for Tableau and corresponding data health tiles, which we'll take a look together right now. Here we are in the DBT Explorer lineage view. And we're going to zoom in on this node that has a Tableau logo. This actually represents a Tableau workbook and corresponding dashboard that is built on top of this order items model. You can zoom into this node and see some information about it. Thanks to automatic exposures, this was identified automatically and added to lineage. You can also see the data quality at the top, showing that freshness passed and quality passed. But most importantly, you can take this and embed it directly into the dashboard that this represents. Here, I've embedded it, and I'm navigating to the Tableau dashboard, and I now see this data health tile that tells me this data is good to use. Isn't that cool? And I can also navigate back directly to Explorer if I want to learn more about what this exposure represents. Thanks to these automatic exposures, the team can feel really confident because they see how assets are being used, and they can signal the health of those assets downstream. So we've established that the central data team has trusted data, indeed. And there's a piece missing here. How can they actually signal trust and usage in a more comprehensive way throughout the data pipeline? Well, in addition to health tiles and automatic exposures, we have additional features in DBT Cloud which show stakeholders a little bit more information about the models and the health of them, as well as information for producers that allow them to see how frequently models are being queried, thanks to our new query history feature. And all of these contribute to the same theme, which is building the feedback loop between producers and consumers, which we think is the most important way to build trust in data at an organization. So we've established, thanks to all the awesome features I just talked about, that the data team indeed has trusted data. But there's a piece missing here. How do they ensure that the central data team, how does the central data team ensure that anytime key metrics are being calculated on top of this data, that they're always calculated consistently across all the tools that are used? Well, the Jaffel Enterprises team has adopted the DBT semantic layer, a key part of the data control plane, to do just that. We're excited to announce so many improvements and additions made to the semantic layer to support 3 key use cases: BI, AI, and embedded analytics. Let's talk a little bit about BI. The Jaffel finance team uses Tableau, but other teams use different tools, like maybe they're in Google Sheets or Excel. Anywhere users are looking at aggregated data, the central data team wants to make sure they're looking at the same number. We've heard from Jaffel Enterprises, and many of you, that you're looking for a few additional integrations supported for the semantic layer. So we're excited to announce a few things here. First, we're working with our friends at Tableau to get our connector, which currently is supported for Tableau Server, in Tableau Cloud. Second, our friends at Sigma, you may have heard, are releasing an integration very soon. And last, but certainly not least, coming soon is Power BI. I assume that one would get the longest applause, so I baked in a pause there. OK, let's talk about AI. Greg told us about DBT Copilot. This doesn't just mean that the central data team can ship code faster. It also means that anyone at Jaffel Enterprises can ask questions of data in natural language, as pictured here, backed by the strong foundation of the semantic layer. And the Jaffel Enterprises team is also very excited about a future where BI and AI can come together. And as avid users of Tableau, they imagine a world where they can publish metrics directly from DBT to Tableau Pulse, which is a Tableau product that aims to democratize data consumption across an organization. Finally, let's talk about embedded analytics. It's one thing to use reliable and consistent data for internal reports. But when you embed those metrics into your product and are serving them to your customers, well, the data takes on a bigger role, demanding an even higher bar for reliability and consistency. And the semantic layer can really shine here. To tell us more about this, I'm really excited to welcome one of our customers on stage, James Dorado from Bilt Rewards. So James is the VP of Data Analytics at Bilt Rewards. And for those of you that don't know Bilt Rewards, they're a company that offers a loyalty program for where you live. Users can get rewards on rent, in their neighborhood, and when they travel. James, can you tell us a little bit about your journey? What was the problem you were trying to solve that led you to the DBT semantic layer?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Roxy, and great to be here. So at Bilt, like Roxy said, we're a rewards program. We allow you to earn points on rent, your home, your neighborhood, and travel. We have three main constituents. That's you, a customer of Bilt. It's also our alliance property managers who manage those properties and homes, as well as our merchant partners who are restaurant owners and grocery store owners, et cetera. So those last two are very different, right? Those are B2B partnerships for us, where we have to pass data to those partners and surface it to them in a portal. When I first came to Bilt, we had built some kind of bespoke portals that did the job, but frankly, we're falling down a little bit. As we scaled as a company from thousands to tens of thousands of property managers, we were just struggling with reliability and trust. So really common theme for us, really hit home. When you erode trust with some of those customers, it's very hard to win back, as you all know, right? Things have to work. You're moving around large amounts of money. We are processing billions of dollars of rent every month. So when we looked at these portals, we said, well, hey, we're using a BI tool, an iframe embed. Costs are scaling linearly. They're kind of getting out of control. How do we kind of fix this solution? And at the same time, we were going through our DBT Cloud implementation. So I was constantly meeting with Roxy and team who were super helpful and very solution-oriented. And we just kind of naturally stumbled upon this idea of, okay, well, you guys have this semantic layer. We didn't know much about it. We started to take a look at it, and we knew immediately that this could be a great fit for us. What that really unlocked was the ability for us to use all of the trusted data models, all the lineage, all the testing, and pass that into a semantic layer that then a front-end or design team could build a custom web portal on top of, get rid of the iframe embeds, get rid of the inflexibility, and get rid of the cost. So yeah, it's been great.
It's such a great use case, and we've really enjoyed collaborating with your team on it. Can you share any early wins or business value realized that you guys see from making the changes to your stack that you outlined?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big thing right off the bat is just trust, right? So things are working. We have reliability, numbers are correct, they're shown to the right user at the right time, and everything kind of works. So for me and for my team, some of whom are in the audience, it helps us sleep better at night, right? Like there's not getting that Slack message early in the morning or late at night saying something's broken. And so that's just a huge win for us to be able to focus on where we can add more value as a strategic data team. So building that trust, for one, is critical. The other thing is really just scale and reliability. So before, when we would onboard partners, we would get really nervous about whether things would hold up. And we sometimes delayed partnership launches as a result. And that's the absolute last thing you want to do as a business, right? When you're growing fast, you don't want to say to a growth team, hey, we're not sure if it's going to work. Or, hey, their report might be wrong. No, we need to be confident. And so we've been able to just move faster and then say, hey, we've got the basics down. Now we want to work with those partners to provide really next level insights. So we can kind of show them a lot of things about spend behavior and about residents in their buildings that they previously didn't know and that they've been asking for years. But frankly, we needed the basics to work, and now we can move with confidence to those kind of next-gen insights. The last thing I'll say is cost. Cost has been a big theme. Everyone's been talking about it today. As I mentioned previously, our last solution, it really scaled linearly. So another embed user, another dollar, and things would just go up and to the right. So we were able to get really creative with DBT and put in place a solution that reduced unit cost by 80 to 90%, which makes us have no qualms about onboarding tens or hundreds of thousands of partners and not worrying about what that cost would look like.
We're so happy to hear that and can't wait to see how our partnership grows.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me here on stage. Everybody, please make sure to go to James's session. His session is called Making Data Rewarding at Bilt. It's on Wednesday, so check it out. So there you have it. When DBT is powering your data assets, trust and quality is important no matter your data size. And when it's powering your actual product, well, that's pretty much non-negotiable. Imagine a future where all of your business's data, no matter where it's being consumed from, whether a dashboard, an embedded application, or just a question in plain English, is returning trustworthy data because it's backed by DBT. This would be a good slide to take a picture of. I'm gonna move to the side. And that's the end of our story for now, about a sandwich shop buying a circus. While the details were fictional, the needs are real. Flexibility to access data across multiple platforms, collaborating with high-context members of the business, and ensuring high quality and high trust in foundational data assets. And whether you're an organization of 3 or 3,000, one DBT is the framework and foundation for achieving a flexible, collaborative, and trustworthy data workflow. Thank you, and I'd like to hand it back to Tristan now.
No, you got it. Thank you, Roxi. Thank you, Amy, Leslie, Greg. I didn't know about the sheep story in advance. That was interesting to watch from backstage, but that was really incredible. Honestly, I get like a little bit giddy watching all these new announcements. This is the DBT that I always wanted to use. I hope that each of you saw something that got you excited, ways to be more productive, to save money, to work better with the business. If you're a data leader, I want you to remember that DBT is a unifier across data platforms. If you're closer to the business in ops or finance, if you want to take more ownership over your data, we're here for it. And if you're a data practitioner building the knowledge graph of your organization, we are committed to making your job better every single day. Many stakeholders, one DBT. Now, one of the most powerful things about an industry coalescing around a single open standard is that it creates this massive opportunity for industry collaboration. DBT is incredibly fortunate to have a huge group of supporters and partners. And I'd like to invite a couple of special guests on stage to share how DBT is supporting analytics workflows end to end. Dan Jewett is an SVP of Product Management at Tableau. And Niraja Rentichintala is a Director of Product Management for Redshift. Please join me in welcoming Dan and Niraja to the stage. Niraja, I want to start with you. How do you think the things that we've shared this morning are going to help your Redshift customers?
First of all, thank you, Tristan. It's a nice demo to see the Redshift and Athena together. I would say DBT always has been a large part of Redshift community's toolkit. And I believe our joint customers can be successful with AWS products if they're able to get the data into the form that they need rapidly to deliver the data and AI products that drive business innovation. I am particularly keen on cross-platform mesh because it aligns with AWS philosophy to offer purpose-built services that enable customers to choose the right tool for the job. With the cross-platform mesh, customers with multiple AWS products will be able to seamlessly traverse and transform data faster than ever. A quick comment on Iceberg. We see across AWS customer base increasing adoption for Iceberg. These customers are building transactional data lakes. They are doing high-performance analytics, building low-latency dashboard-style applications on top of the near real-time data using Redshift. And we also offer strong support for Iceberg across our other engines like EMR and Athena. So I am excited to see DBT leveraging Iceberg as the standard to enable interoperability in the data mesh.
I love that. It's been exciting for me to watch all the Iceberg support across the many AWS products. Dan, I want to bring you in here. Tableau has long been the standard for helping people see and understand data. How are you thinking about the visual editing experience that you saw up here?
Yeah, great, Tristan. First, thank you for inviting Tableau and showing some Tableau snippets in the keynote. The ecosystem is important to have everybody participate and nurture each other. So we're very happy to be part of that. The Visual Explorer thing is really interesting, right? So there's been lots of data wrangling tools around, and Tableau's got our own data wrangling tool. But one of the big differences that I saw in the demo, and I'm excited about our partnership on this, is that it really takes it from a individual to kind of an operationalized endpoint, right? So it's putting an assistant in the hands of the expert to create these analytic-ready assets, which then can get operationalized and then used in all the places downstream. So on the Tableau side, we love that, right? We're all about getting high-quality data available to people in any way we can, whereas taking a tool to get that multiplier effect that an expert can give it and give them a productivity boost on that front with the visual interface is great.
Love that. Niraja, what do you think is the biggest value that AWS and DBT can jointly deliver to customers?
I would say a couple of things. First of all, more than 1 million data lakes run on AWS. And we have customers that, tens of thousands of customers that process exabytes of data collectively on Redshift per day. So what really excites me is how AWS and DBT together can help customers to make sense of all this data in meaningful ways that really drives the businesses forward. Another aspect I would mention is at AWS, when we are building products, we keep customer at the center of everything we do and looking for ways to simplify their data journey. And when I saw the exciting announcements by DBT today, it's just another proof point that DBT does the same. So we have a lot of things to announce, exciting capabilities at upcoming reInvent, which I believe will make the DBT community very happy.
I'll have to wait and see. All right, I'm excited. Dan, can you share the importance of trust in the analytics process? How do you folks think about trust?
Yeah, trust is everything, and it's always been everything, and it's becoming even more important today. So one of the slides you guys had today talked about the analytic, I don't know, it had the infinity symbol on the side. The
ADLC, yeah.
ADLC, right? And that brought to mind one of the things that we've talked about for years, which is the cycle of visual analysis, right? And it's got different stages on how someone grabs data and works with it and discovers and instantiates opinions about it and shares it and all that. The first step in our cycle of visual analysis has always been forage for data, right? And that really works if I'm just a person trying to figure out a question and make an answer on that. But foraging for data doesn't really work for big organizations, right? It's got to have the trustworthy data behind it. So trust is really everything, right? So the ability to have analytic-ready data that you can trust, be pipelined through, have those pipelines be inspected. In the demo, we saw the health tile, the quality tile that shows the quality of the data through there. Those are all tremendous things to help build trust for the analysts who are building their visualizations and their dashboards, for the consumers of those visualizations and dashboards. So that's just in today's world, right? As we look forward with LLMs and agents, all of that stuff falls apart if you don't have quality, trusted data. So trust is everything.
I love that. I've never heard the word forage used in that way. It makes me think of like mushrooms. And
I know, right?
Foraging for mushrooms is incredible, but it doesn't scale very well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yes.
Awesome. Thank you both for being here so much today. Join me for thanking Dan and Niraja. And everyone, welcome to Coalesce. Enjoy your Coalesce 24. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I hope you all are as excited as I am to go see all the great sessions today and hear more about all these announcements. I want to give a quick thank you to all of our presenters today, especially our customers and partners who joined us on stage. And I'm just so excited about the path that we're taking here to bring more people together through data. Before everybody leaves, I'm going to wrap up with a few quick logistics. First, make sure you download the app. This is where you can see all of the latest agendas, session locations, and notifications about what's happening every day. I also want to point out that there's a nursing room, a quiet room, and a prayer room located in the Lotus Meeting Room section. Thank you. Second, stop by the DBT Expert Zone. If you want to learn anything more about our new releases this morning, get help with your DBT project, or just talk shop with an expert, you can do it there. Feel free to join the conversation online. If you're not already a part of our DBT Slack community, you are missing out, but it's easy to get started. Go over to getdbt.com/community, and you can sign up. And finally, the Discovery Hall is now open, so you can stop by all of our sponsor stations and enjoy the activities there, and meet back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. for our esteemed guest speaker, Allie Miller. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day and soak up all of the great data vibes.